What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are the Tower card in its reversal, in combination with the Page of Cups in its uprights. I like to see these two cards in combination together. And it's interesting too, because I often like to have this. It's interesting. The thing I notice is that the Page of Cups can bring out a lot of feelings in relationality to seeing it. And it's interesting because it's reminding me of a conversation that I had recently with someone. And they were like, is the Page of Cups a is the Page of Cups a positive card or a negative card? And you guys know how I often teach. I always like to articulate the fact that there are no positive or negative cards. Everything we have to understand about the cards is really important in relationality to the proximity of the cards that are surrounding the cards. And the thing I keep on seeing that we often have to remember that can sometimes create the frustration point in seeing the Page of Cups has to do with energetic seriousness, right? Like it is oppositional. Like the Page of Cups is not a serious card. It's not a serious card. And I think that to a certain extent, in that way, it can sometimes feel like it's frustrating because if there's modalities by which there's something serious and you articulate it, then the modality by which we arrive to situations or circumstances is often and I like to point this out. And this is what I like about Tower card in its reversal with a Page of Cups, right? Which is the modality by which I keep on hearing our seriousness is a gift. And when we know ourselves, we know what we're energetically serious about, right? And I like to talk about it too because one of the things I think that's happening, especially with the Tower card in its reversal with the Page of Cups, is it talks about the understanding of being able to move through something and recognize one's own facets, right? The ability of being energetically multifaceted is a gift because it's the modality by which I keep wondering, it's the modality by which we are constantly in the space. And it almost feels kind of like Gemini energy to a certain extent, because you often see this with individuals who carry a lot of Gemini placements, right? The modality by which we build into the space of holding our own sense of energetic integrity, but also the recognition of being able to understand our own energetic facets, which is often the modality or the experience by which we know what we have to bring to energetic situations. And I keep on getting that is effectively what we see that's happening there. And this is what's effectively facilitating a lot of this energy that we're currently identifying that is moving deeper into the situations or circumstances by which we see those moon relationships that are occurring, right? It's the sense of, I keep wondering, it's the sense of proportionality, right? And it's being able to move towards, and I keep wondering, proportionality is energetically conditional in relationality to the point by which we are effectively able to navigate or address or articulate something that is energetically meaningful to us. Now, this is happening in a big way, and I keep on getting it's different depending on where you find yourself on the frequency cycles. And we're going to start first by talking about the energy that is in solitude and moving towards that right now. Center card for today's spread. Can I get one card, please? We've got the 10 of Cups in its upright. Now, the 10 of Cups in its upright center of the spread is exactly the type of energy that we like to see because it's working through situations and circumstances with a sense of proportionality. The ability to effectively identify or articulate proportionality is the modality by which we're able to energetically address something, but such as a way by which we're able to effectively, I keep wondering, when we bring proportionality to things, we elevate experiences, is what I keep on hearing. When we bring proportionality to things, we energetically elevate experiences because it's the modality or the circumstance or situation by which we're able to effectively facilitate or articulate something that has energetic meaning to us. And this is what I continue to see that's happening right now. for a lot of those moon relationships, that conversation or that articulation point in being able to recognize and define something that has a lot of energetic meaning. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of those that work in solitude, for a lot of the energy in solitude right now, this is the culmination of a lot of those moon relationships or those moon lessons that we saw that have been occurring from the period of Uranus stationing retrograde up until the present, right? And this is what we talk about the highest gift is understanding the self, right? Because when we understand the self, we're able to easily recognize an inside problem versus an outside problem, something that we're working on within versus something that we're trying to resolve upon without. So for a lot of the energy doing that work, that modality of effectively facilitating upon that, I just keep on seeing it's working through productive conversation. It's being able to identify and articulate what it is that they're working on upon the self. And this is what I keep on getting that feels like an energetic celebration for a lot of those relationships, right? Because I keep on hearing this is a lot of energy that's in solitude that is understanding. And this is why we have to let go of the sense of being perfect. You don't need to be perfect to find an energetic relationship. You just need to know what you're working on. You have to understand the self. And that's the greatest gift that we bring in as it relates to counterpart relationships, because that understanding of knowing the self means that we don't go into relationship with a flashlight, right? We don't walk towards it searching to understand ourselves. We arrive into partnership with a complete understanding. And in that modality, we are effectively able to energetically elevate our relationship, because it's not, keep wondering, it's not a relationship that's based upon trying to figure ourselves out. It's the understanding of having already figured ourselves out and being able to effectively just move to the space by which we're energetically working, right? It's like it's just working into the context of being able to identify how much of a relief it is when you're not searching, right? And so this is the gift. This is what's happening right now for a lot of those relationships. And I've got three different modalities, right? Three different modalities that are happening right now as it relates to partnership. Now, for the energy that is working through solitude, this is the work that I see. It's the understanding. And this is why I keep on hearing the same message coming through. It's the difference between being centered in self and self-centered. What is the difference between being centered in self versus self-centered? Being self-centered is the modality or the experience by which we recognize, or we don't build any energetic compassion or empathy for anyone else's experience, right? The modality by which we effectively just work through something, but even in the context by which we energetically work through it, it's the identification point of not taking that empathy into consideration as it relates to the energy around the self. And this is often why we do the work to heal the ego. We can experience this a lot with Jupiter retrograding in Cancer, right? The understanding that the ego is not something that we can ever shed. The ego is always there, but having an ego that's healed is having an ego that feels like it's very much an approximation of what we feel within. The streamlined ego, what is within is the same as what is without. So that's what I see, that a lot of the energy in solitude is working on, right? This is why we talk about, if you want to find the healthy relationship, start healing the self. Because when you start to do the work to understand the self, it becomes the greatest gift that you can bring to a counterpart connection, right? You're not looking to relationship to understand the self, right? And this is why there's nothing more dangerous, right? If you're in a space of unhappiness, right? If you're in a space of perpetual unhappiness and you've convinced yourself that a relationship is going to fix you, I hate to break it to you, there's no relationship on the planet that will ever fix your unhappiness, because you'll bring that unhappiness to anywhere you go. So when we work to effectively find that point of joy within us, then we effectively heal our relationship to counterpart, because it's that identification point of finding the love that feels like love, right? The modality by which we work to heal ourselves so that what we feel within is expressed or experienced as the same without. This is the result of the healthy ego, because it allows that vulnerability, right? That it allows the vulnerability of something that doesn't become distorted in the modality by which we try to have another person experience it. This is why it's so important that we address the ego. And the other thing you have to understand, that doesn't mean we try to get rid of it. Your ego is your friend. Your ego is the defense mechanism of the soul. And the more that you're able to see your ego, the safer that you are, because it's that modality of understanding that the ego that we're energetically proud of is a reflection of ourselves. So I keep on getting like that is a continuation of a lot of those moon relationships, the understanding that being centered in self, right? The work that we do to understand the self immediately becomes the gift to everyone around us, because it doesn't feel like we're bringing them our energetic complications. We're arriving with our sense of personal understanding. Now, that is what I see that's happening for a lot of the energy that's working through solitude. There are relationships that are coming together and they're literally saying how easy it is to be with you. The ease, the absolute ease, right? They're finding each other. They are becoming each other's source of peace. Because when we understand ourselves, we don't look to counterpart to help us solve the problem of the self. We bring our own solution. We understand ourselves completely. So that modality of being able to understand the self and being integral within it, this is the energy that speaks to each other about the fact that these are the relationships that are moving deeper into relationship. And they're saying, literally, they're saying, it's the easiest relationship I've ever been in. Right? And why are they saying that it is? And they're saying that again, right? How easy it can be when we do the work to, but how can we do the work to untangle those tangled parts of ourselves? Because that modality by which the easement point of working through difficulty is often experienced by which we don't navigate difficulty in the space of being ego driven. Right? The modality by which I can see this energy. Look at this. And this is what I meant about this being a positive Page of Cups. Look at the cards. Look at the cards that are surrounding. Look at the cards that are surrounding this energetic individual. Look how easy, right? Look how easy it can be with someone that does the work to understand the self, right? And so that is the energy that says when we work to understand the self, we become the source of each other's peace. So there's a lot of that space by which this is the energy, and they're articulating, right? They're not saying to each other, you are my missing piece. They're saying, you are my peace. PEACE. You are my piece that was missing, right? They're not saying to each other, you are my missing piece, going, you are the thing I was looking for that makes me happy again. They've already solved that. It's the energy that goes, you are my piece that is missing. Because when we work to find our joy, how easy it can be to be in a relationship by which we don't look at each other to be the source of our joy. We just bring our own. Continuing, and then again, I need to see that I do see some separations that are potentially occurring during this time. We're going to talk through them. And the hard part about some of these separations is difficult conversations, particularly because this is why it's so important that we have to heal our egos if we ever want healthy relationship. Because the thing about the ego is the ego's afraid of feelings. There's nothing more dangerous than the ability to disassociate. The best relationship you ever find will make you feel things you've never felt before. So you have to understand that the ability to be brave in the space of our feelings, right? This is what we get with Pluto and Aquarius. There's nothing more dangerous than disassociating from your feelings. You don't get stronger disassociating from feelings, right? And that's the hard part, because the more that you move towards things that are for you, what are you going to discover? Feelings that you've never felt before, right? So imagine a situation by which you work towards a space of disassociating and you're like, it's good. I don't feel anything. I'm fine. And then you start moving towards something that is like literally your bliss, and you start feeling all of these weird feelings, things that you've never felt before. And you run strictly in the other direction, right? You run strictly in the other direction, and then energy comes back and they go, oh, I feel okay again. And they move back towards relationship and they go, I think I'm ready for relationship again. No, you're not. Because then you're going to move back towards the relationship, and what's going to come up again? All those feelings that you don't want to address. Relationships are emotional refinement centers. Relationships are emotional refinement centers. We don't move further away from a feeling to resolve the feelings that come up within them. We move deeper into the energetic relationship. And that conversation, right, potentially having to articulate to another the modality by which they're able to effectively amplify or articulate and say to one another, I know that there is the desire right? I know there is the energetic desire for a relationship, but you have to be able to navigate one's own fire, right? The modality of the feelings that arrive within the context of moving towards partnership, right? I keep on hearing it's like the energy that says, I can literally hear the energy say, I know that you desire, but are you ready for the fire? Because it's the energy that says we prepare ourselves. This is why it's so important to navigate the feelings that come up that we aren't ready to address. Because when you spend your whole life trying to disassociate from your feelings, I guarantee you, you will find the blessed relationship and you will go running away from it because you're not ready to address all of the feelings that come up as you're navigating being within it. So this is why I see a lot of that energy potentially coming into separation with modalities like that. And it's potentially working through the tragedy or the sadness of those circumstances or situations, right? The understanding that that is not something that we have to, it's not enough to have feelings, right? It's not enough to articulate the feeling that you have feelings. You have to be brave enough to navigate through the energetic feelings to be able to maintain or hold on to the relationship in the process of having them. This brings us to our fourth and fifth cards in our 5-card spread today. 2 cards, please. We've got here the 3 of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Wheel of Fortune in its upright. So what are we effectively seeing that's happening right now? For a lot of those energies or a lot of those situations or circumstances, working through a lot of that, I keep on hearing like working through a lot of those modalities or experiences by which we navigate or find that energetic steadiness. Bearing in mind that, again, these temperance relationships were effectively the relationships that were coming together between the time of Uranus stationing retrograde up until the time of the solstice period that we experienced this summer, working through those modalities or experiences by which they effectively articulate or define what it is like. And this is that continuation that we saw that's happening right now that's a little bit difficult because some of these relationships, I'm going to say it again, it's not the fact that we're going through. It's not the fact that we're actually going through a Venus in retrograde cycle, right? We're not going through a Venus in retrograde cycle, but the energy feels very akin to one. And the reason that the energy feels very akin to a Venus in retrograde cycle right now is due to the fact that we've got Venus that is tucked between Mars and Mercury. Mercury is behind it, Mars is before it. And I want to describe the feeling of energetic frustration, working through a lot of that energetic frustration, but being energetically productive through it, right? Just allowing it the context by which one is able to effectively articulate or navigate throughout those energetic cycles. I keep on getting the same work that we see that is energetically happening there, which is it's a lot of the energy that's reaffirming to each other that hard work pays off, or that there's some modalities by which we just have to kind of like, I keep wondering like, and this is what we kind of get, especially when we've got Uranus in Taurus retrograding, right? Some things we just have to push through on. And the modality by which we're just energetically working through something, right? Like just working through frustration is often the space by which we're able to arrive at productivity, because those modalities or experiences by which we're able to effectively like just keep ourselves energetically motivated or committed towards something. I just keep on seeing that that's a lot of the continuation that we identify and recognize in relationality to the work that we're effectively setting our minds to. And so for a lot of that experience or a lot of those modalities, that sense or that space of building into the reliable energy, I keep on getting that is a lot of the work that they effectively articulate and amplify to each other in relationality to patience that effectively pays off. Now, continuing to get clarification here between our Tower card in its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Cups energy in its upright. So what do we see with the Ace of Cups in its upright? The Ace of Cups in its upright speaks to us a lot, and this is going to be moving us into those magician relationships. And the magician relationships are effectively the relationships that were coming together between the time of Mercury coming together between the time of the solstice period up until the time of Mercury and Venus stationing direct behind Neptune. So for a lot of these relationships we're effectively identifying right now is working through the space of being energetically productive. It's building into that point of productivity. It's putting, I keep on hearing, a lot of those modalities or experiences by which one is effectively able to navigate or work through something. And I keep on getting that a lot of those modalities by which they're energetically working through things, it's a continuation of being able to effectively articulate upon something that has energetic meaning to the self. And so for a lot of these relationships, that capacity of being able to articulate or amplify to another the sense of being able to make healthy choices, that identification point in terms of being able to articulate upon what they are. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, it feels supportive, but it's also difficult because I can see the energy in the same modality by which they're energetically working through something. They're also going through the experience by which they're navigating and letting go of situations and circumstances that do not feel energetically supportive of their healing journeys. This is often something that we experience in relationality to our journey, right? The modality by which we're able to just let something go is keep on getting. And what's beautiful about that is for some of those situations or some of those relationships, everything I keep on seeing in terms of those experiences has to do with the observation of being able to effectively work through something. And the modality by which I see that energy navigating is, and this is what often happens, because especially when Neptune and Saturn are both navigating like right on that meridian moving from Pisces into Aries, the state or the space by which we are effectively able to articulate upon the understanding, like there's literally energy that is navigating the weight, that they feel like they are losing energetic connections because they're making healthier choices, right? That observation, like simply put, right? Like that is what's so devastating for some of those relationships, working through the context by which they have to explain to another person, right? Like literally a situation by which they're articulating to another and saying like, what happened between you and that person? Being like, well, it's a little bit weird to say, but I honestly feel like it has to do with the fact that I'm making healthier choices, right? The modality by which we're moving in accordance with what we know is healthier towards us, and the observation of seeing relationships fracture in the context of making those healthier choices. I know it's heavy. Like I keep on hearing the energy go, like it's heavy, right? But it also feels like it's helping the energy honor, right? Like I keep on hearing the energy say like the space by which they're saying to another, I'm letting go of that because I'm honoring myself more, right? Like that is literally the context that we see that is happening, because I keep on hearing healthy relationships celebrate the fact that we're honoring ourselves more, right? Unhealthy relationships will often articulate that that is the reason, right? That is the reason by which there's a separation forming. And I keep on hearing it's identifying I keep on hearing something about the fact that selfish energy often tells on themselves, because it's the modality by which when somebody, and you have to be very conscientious when you use the word selfish, right? Because the modality by which you articulate selfishness is the space by which you have an expectation that you put in relationality to another. And so I keep on getting it's not enough to articulate that someone is being energetically selfish unless you're going to do the work in terms of telling another person what you are energetically expecting from them. And that is effectively the conversation that I see that a lot of the energy is navigating right now, deep in those magician relationships. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Cups in combination with our 10 of Cups in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress card in its reversal. So what are we effectively identifying with that Empress energy in its reversal? It's working through, and I keep on getting for a lot of these, for the culmination of a lot of these moon relationships, I just keep on getting that type of, like, I keep on, and this is what's beautiful about those moon relationships. There is no passive aggressive energy within them. This is what I keep on seeing. This is what I meant in relationality to those relationships being so healthy. I just keep on getting no passive aggressive energy there, right? The modality by which they're healing is the space by which, if something comes up, they just energetically deal with it. They just energetically address it, right? It's like that's what I keep on getting in terms of that relationship, like those, and I want to see, and this is what I keep on getting in relationality. I've got those three different modalities that we recognize or see are happening in those experiences, either working through, I keep on saying working through the capacity or experience of being able to energetically articulate or define upon something that they themselves are working to energetically resolve upon. So the modality by which they're working through the context of the self, right? Continuing to do the work of being good with the self, right? Feeling the sense of self by which one is able to amplify and articulate that sense of feeling energetically good. This is often the modality by which you heal from, I keep on hearing, others misconceptions of the self. And I keep on getting that there's something really beautiful and supportive I see that's happening in relationality to a lot of that path work that has to do with the converse. Like, I keep wondering, it has to do with the continuation of recognizing and identifying the space by which we energetically support one another is the modality by which we energetically honor who we are, is what I keep on hearing. And the modality by which we see, like, I keep wondering, the modality by which we see and understand that point of honor, right? The space by which we honor ourselves and we honor our energetic journey. It's not, I keep wondering, it's something that is allowing for the space by which it's energetically reciprocal, right? That is often the modality by which I see that. This is why I keep on hearing a lot of this energy working in solitude, building into that space of finding that sense of being centered in self. Because the difference between self-centered and centered in self is the identification of knowing the self, right? It is the recognition point of understanding who we are that allows us to be able to perceive and identify the world. And the truth is, and this is what I keep on seeing that was happening, and it was coming through a lot in the feminine reading yesterday, and I feel like it's arriving into the reading here, understanding that an unhealthy relationship will identify that your highest energetic characters, and I need to like focus on this because this is really important, because there's something that is happening right now for the energy that's moving deeper into divine union versus the energy that is working through healing from past experiences. And it has to do with the similarity, and we're just going to address it here, upon being centered in self versus being a non-entity, right? Now, what is the difference between being centered in self and being an energetic non-entity? The space by which we are centered in self is the space by which we know ourselves, right? The modality by which we understand what is energetically important to us. Now, this is important to notate, because when we know what is important to us, we know what feels like an energetic distraction, right? And often what happens is the modality by which we are energetically centered within ourselves, when others come towards us with things that feel like they're energetic priorities, but we know what is energetically important, we're able to effectively calibrate in those capacities. And this is why that I keep on hearing, when you are centered in self, get ready to hear the word selfish, because it's not the space unless there is something, right? Unless another's projections of you carry a grain of truth. It's often the modality by which you recognize the difference between someone articulating true selfishness. Now, what is true selfishness? It's the understanding that something that we're giving ourselves is not proportional to what we would give another person. That is what selfishness is, versus the modality or the experience by which another person is overly demanding upon us, right? The modality of being able to energetically recognize what feels like it's over demanding upon us is often the modality by which we recognize that and identify that as we energetically proceed on our journeys. Now, the modality by which we see that there are relationships that are moving deeper into partnership, specifically and particularly because the energy identifies that character and quality and characteristic in counterpart. How easy it can be with someone that knows themselves completely, the gift of understanding the self that allows for the easement in relationship, because it is the energy that effectively has a grip on themselves, right? And that allows for things to be very energetically easy. Simultaneously, I see energy in solitude, having to heal from situations or circumstances by which they recognize that someone is angry at them for being a non-entity. And what would be the qualities and characteristics by which you recognize that someone is mad at you for being a non-entity, for not being a non-entity? Is the modality by which someone says, "Oh, why are you mad at them? Because they had feelings." Oh, okay. That sounds normal. What did they have feelings about? Oh, I was hurting them. Oh, okay. All right. Why are you mad at that person? Oh, because they said that they didn't want me doing something that was hurting them. Okay. All right. That sounds normal, right? The modality by which another person, like the conversation that you literally would have with someone, by which you articulate in relationality to the modality of looking at something and being like, yeah, I had to let that relationship go. Why? Because I had standards, right? The modality by which one understands. And this is the type of nuance that I'm talking about here, because it's working through, like we see here, right? And I want you to pay attention, right? Because they can look, do you see the difference? The difference between energy that is moving in proportionality into a healthy relationship at this time, that is another person saying, I can love that person because they know themselves, right? I adore that person because they know themselves profoundly. They know what is and is not their problem. They identify an internal problem versus an external one, versus those modalities and experiences by which another person is healing and saying, yes, I'm healing from a situation by which someone is mad at the self because one was not enough of a non-entity, right? The modality by which one recognizes and says, I could go back to that relationship. I would just have to let go of the person that I am in order to facilitate it. And that's why we say a healthy relationship will never require you to abandon your standards in order to move towards it. It's the space by which the standards are supported even more as you move in further direction towards it. Now, this continues to bring us to continuing on this path work, clarification between our 10 of cups in its upright in combination with our 3 of pentacles in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? We've got here the ace of swords in its upright. Now, this is moving us back towards those temperance relationships. And the temperance relationships, again, were coming together between the time of Uranus stationing retrograde up until the solstice period that we experienced this summer. These relationships are working through, like it's path work of perseverance right now, right? It's the modality or the experience. The modality or the experience by which we work, I keep on hearing, we put that force of intention towards things. We continue in that experience. We continue in the space by which I keep on hearing, we continue to work towards things. And it's the modality by which we continue to work towards things that often I keep on hearing this energy say, some things need to be, I keep on hearing like the counterparts working through these temperance relationships are understanding and identifying that, and I keep on hearing that it's not enough just to have a manifestation goal, but the work by which we navigate and identify what it takes to energetically endure, like in the pathwork by which we move towards it. And everything I keep on seeing in relationality to that work is I keep on getting it's a further amplification of building into energetic steadiness. And there's something important that I'm seeing in relationality to that energetic steadfast energy, because the modality by which we articulate to each other, I keep on hearing our steadiness is readiness. So the modality by which we work through something, but not just the space by which we work through it, but the state by which we effectively are energetically patient, right? We don't, like, I keep on hearing like the space by which we take things, like in a I keep on hearing we take things in a step by step approach, right? And we don't rush through things. I keep on seeing that that is like a lot of the work that I keep on identifying that is happening right now for those temperance relationships, because I keep on hearing it's the articulation of someone saying steadiness equates to readiness. Steadiness equates to readiness, which is the modality by which we work through difficulty, but the space by which we're just energetically steady through it articulates our readiness in relationality to how we energetically address circumstances or situations. I just keep on getting that coming through very heavily there. And so that's a lot of the counterparts that are effectively supporting each other as it relates to navigating, I keep on hearing, as it relates to navigating situations and circumstances with a sense of proportionality. Continuing right now between our Three of Pentacles in its upright in combination with the Wheel of Fortune in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now, and this is bringing us to those magician relationships. And again, the magician relationships were coming together between the time of the solstice period up until the time of Mercury and Venus stationing direct behind Neptune. And for a lot of these relationships right now, like I literally, like I see this energy right now. Like I see a lot of this energy deep within divine union. Like I just see the energy deep within divine union. And it's funny too, because did you notice how like I put like my hands behind my head? Because it's a lot of the like it's and I want to describe this. I feel like there's something about those magician relationships that are working into the context of another person deep within their ego. And when we identify the space by which another person is deep within their ego, usually you can identify someone's deep within their ego because, and this is literally the sound of the trauma that you'll experience when someone's deep within their ego, it seems like nothing I ever do is the right thing, right? Like literally the modality by which another person articulates and says, and the answer is yes, right? When you like that is literally like that is music to the ears of someone that is deep within their ego. Because when another person is working into the context of the observation of the understanding that the ego is overly demanding, right? The ego is over, like and here's the thing, when you're deep within your ego, you will never find joy there, right? You will always be in the space by which it feels like something is not right. So that modality, right? The experience, the torture, like this is what happens. The tortured energy that is deep within their ego then puts that out on everybody else around them, right? The modality by which one feels, the space by which you're navigating that, and often the characteristic of understanding. And here's the thing about it, right? Sometimes when you recognize that that is the energy around you, the only thing you can do is get out of proximity to it, right? Because that modality or that experience by which we effectively, I keep hearing the modality or experience by which we effectively work through something, but not just in the context by which we energetically work through it, but the modality by which we bring reason to things when we're in a healthy space, right? Literally, I see some energy that is moving away in the context of a healthy relationship from unreasonable energy. And they're articulating the fact that they potentially recognize what is happening there. They're understanding the modality of someone being deep within their feelings and not doing the work to effectively understand them, but instead projecting them out onto those around the self. That is reaffirming their own energetic commitment as it relates to the energetic direction, right? And so I just keep on seeing it's painful, right? Right? It's painful, but I keep on seeing that the pain, like the pain that is happening in those modalities is the pain that they're recognizing based upon observation, right? It's painful because they recognize it's not within them to resolve. And this is what's hard when you're in that space. Like I can almost see the energy that wishes that it was something within them that they could change because that's something that they could work upon. But when you're in those modalities by which you see somebody in that experience, you will, like, I keep on hearing seeing the energy that they maintain hope, right? They maintain hope and relationality to what can be healed in the long term, but they're moving in that state of practicality in relationality to how they effectively recognize or identify what that work is in the present space is what I keep on seeing. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Cups in combination with the Empress card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? We've got here the Six of Cups in its upright. So what are we seeing with that Six of Cups energy? The Six of Cups moving us back into the energy that is in solitude right now. I feel like there's a lot of this energy, and this is feeling like new relationship path work. I want to state, and I want to describe what I'm effectively picking up on here. I've either got some energy that has been spending the last few months deep within hermit energy and is moving into the space by which they're articulating their own readiness to build into healthy connection right now, right? Like I literally see some energy that potentially spent like this moon relationship period in hermit mode. But the modality by which they're working through that experience and understanding that, I just keep on seeing that there's something really important as it relates to the energy that is working to effectively, I keep on getting identify and define and articulate what feels energetically, I keep wondering what feels energetically stabilizing, but not just in the context by which they're working through what feels energetically stabilizing. I'm also identifying that this is the energy that's articulating or working through the understanding of knowing the self, because it's the space by which one says, when I know the self, I don't go to relationship searching for something. I arrive to relationship ready for it, right? The space by which I almost feel like there's some energy that is changing, like that is changing their perception of relationship in the context of their healing journey. And what's beautiful about that is it's the understanding. Like I keep on hearing, the beautiful energy of a relationship does not define us. It refines us. Like that is the culmination of moving through that energy, right? A healthy relationship doesn't define us. It refines us. It doesn't come into the context by which we articulate that we are energetically, like we are defined by it, but the space by which we see, like the space by which we become even more energetically improved within it. But you'll never be refined in a healthy relationship if you're looking towards the relationship for definition of the self, right? Because the modality by which one is seeking to understand the self, that's not something that anyone can bring you. That's something that you have to find within. So I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, like articulating or defining to each other or stating, like, this is why you're my energetic between the Empress card in its reversal with the Ace of Swords in its upright. Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups in its upright. So for the Queen of Cups in its upright works like the Queen of Cups in its upright works us through. I keep on hearing it works, and this is bringing us into the temperance relationships, right? The observation, I keep on saying the observation of that energy, effectively identifying or articulating to, I keep hearing identifying or articulating to another in relationality towards the understanding. And I keep on seeing like this is what the temperance relationships articulate to each other, the modality or the experience by which they amplify or articulate to each other the sense of energetic meaning in relationality to how they hold one another. And this is why I keep on hearing like a lot of those temperance relationships. There's a lot of alignment today that I'm seeing, right? Like the space by which the energy is effectively able to articulate. But I keep on saying it's not just the fact that they're able to energetically articulate upon something, but the state or the space by which they recognize and work through something in the capacity by way of which they're able to talk about their emotions. This is what I keep on getting in relationality to that. This is a beautiful, and I want to describe this because this is a beautiful pillar that we see that's occurring in the center of this spread today. Because we've got the of Cups with the Queen of Cups, which is working through the space by which the energy identifies that the healing by which the counterparts bring to each other is the modality of being energetically present. And I keep on getting when we're working towards, right? When we're working towards they're working towards a better present is what I keep on hearing. And why do I keep on hearing this energy that is articulating that they're working towards a better present? Because the modality of the understanding that when we recognize, like when we bring that koan to things, when we understand ourselves, then there is no rut, right? Because when we are building into the space by which we're always identifying or recognizing what we're putting our energetic priority to, I just keep on hearing a lot of that energy saying they're working on a better present because it's the space by which there's always something to do, isn't there? There's always something to do when you're working towards a better present, right? When you feel like something is energetically blocked, just turn your attention to what would allow for a better present. So I feel like that's a lot of the energy that's not getting caught in the rut space. They're just allowing that sense of productivity to help them through anything. I keep wondering anything that a past version of self would have seen as a rut, but the present version of self sees as a possibility, right? When we're working towards a better present, there are possibilities all around us. It's not the space by which we're waiting for something to energetically change, but we work to facilitate towards it. So I keep on seeing that that is the gift that they give each other, right? The understanding that they love each other because they always see each other operating in that space of improving. Right? It's like the energy going, like, what are you, like, I see the energy constantly looking at each other, being like, what are you doing? And they're like, improving. What are you doing right now? Improving. What are you doing right now? Improving. continuing, continuing to get, continuing to get clarification. And we're going to talk about these magician relationships because the relationships right now, this is where I see a lot of the frustration coming through. And we're gonna talk about some of those feelings that are coming up. And they have a right to it, is what I keep on getting. So clarification between the Ace of Swords, and I gotta stress this, guys. We got two of the four aces out on the deck right now. This is a very, very strong reading. Ace of Swords with the Nine of Cups in its upright. Boom. Yeah, feelings coming up from the past with the Seven of Swords. Let's talk about this. Now, I want to walk you guys through. I tried to tell you that this was going to energetically happen. Every time Saturn and Neptune come out of retrograde, So there's been this thing that's been happening. Okay, I'm going to walk you through it. Like the last, like about the last year, like Mercury, Neptune, and Saturn, right? They start climbing into Aries, and what happens? They go into retrograde and they're pulled back into Pisces, right? Climb into Aries, pull back into Pisces. Climb into Aries, pull back into Pisces. This is very hard for anybody with Piscean placements right now. It's doing a number. If you got a lot of Piscean placements, every time they move into Aries, you have an abandonment wound occur, or you feel like the abandonment wound rises up, right? So this is what we see that is energetically happening right now with a lot of that energy. This is literally energy that is articulating the space by which they're articulating the fact that they're trying to move towards something that they know is healthy, but they feel like they're having to heal from a situation by which another person will not allow. And this is talking about situations outside of relationship where it feels like somebody is too trapped in the past in order to be in another person's future. And what occurs, right? What occurs in the modality by which another person is too trapped in the past to be in another person's future? The space by which another person energetically harbors something or refuses to let go of something, right? And this is why we talk about, and I keep on hearing, healthy healing isn't about letting go of things. It's about understanding what you're holding on to. I'm going to say that again. Healthy healing is not about letting go of everything. That's forgetfulness. Healthy healing is understanding what you're holding on to. If it feels like it's energetically important, if it feels like it's a standard, or if it feels like your trauma in disguise. So that's what I mean in relationality to some kind of energetic frustration that's happening right now for some of these magician relationships. Because I can literally see a situation by which another person is articulating the reason why they're coming into conflict with someone at the time that they're moving deeper into relationship. And they're saying, explain to me what's going on between you and that person. They're going, let me explain it to you. They're holding on to a trauma, but I recognize that it's actually, they're holding on to a standard, but I recognize that it's actually trauma in disguise, is what I keep on hearing. They're holding on to a standard, but I recognize that it's trauma in disguise, is what I keep on seeing. They're trying to articulate that their trauma is a standard, but I can recognize, I know them well enough, like literally the energy going, I know them well enough that I recognize that it's a trauma in disguise. And there's an argumentation that's potentially happening right now for some of these magician relationships that feels like that is the context by which they say like, and they want to point out the way that you can usually define, and I like to point this out, I'm going to say it again, the way you can usually define what an actual standard is if you are in this situation is a healthy standard is one that can be explained. A healthy standard, I'm going to just keep on dropping that little insight there. A healthy standard is one that is completely logical and reasonable in relationality to why you're holding on to it. That helps move things forward. You're welcome. All right, continuing right now, moving towards continuing to get clarification between our Six of Cups in its upright in combination with the Queen of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Knight of Wands in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about it. I'm starting to notice a trend in relationality to what the new energetic cycle is moving towards. And I want to articulate that I want to clarify something I see is happening right now for some of that energy and solitude. We got to get to it because I see something here. So I'm going to keep on saying what I just said. A healthy standard is only a standard if you can explain why you're holding it. If you can't explain your standard, I'm afraid to break it to you, that's probably trauma in disguise. I hate to break it to you. It's just, but it, like that's the modality, right? And this is also in the context of again following, and this also talks about the modality of intuition. Like I've had this question coming up a lot, and we're going to address it. There are energies that articulate to me and say, how do you tell the difference between, how do you tell the difference between delusion and intuition? And I'll tell you right now, because when you follow intuition, you discover a miracle. But when you follow delusion, you usually find confusion. Like, that's literally the modality by which you understand that, and that's what I work with my clients to help discern between, right? The modality of understanding what feels like it is healthy energy is not the modality by which we just follow feelings, and you have to be very conscientious about that because here's the thing about it, feelings have no direction. Feelings have no direction, but the modality by which we understand and recognize, right? The ability that we work, and this is why it's so important and impactful to be invested in your feelings. Because how do you know how your feelings work if you don't let yourself feel them? How do you know how do you don't get to figure out how to operate. You don't understand how your feelings work unless you let yourself feel them, right? This is what we talk about when we talk about feeling into things. Okay. We talk about feeling into things. It's not about shutting them off. It's about turning them on. It's about the modality by which you're able to effectively understand them further. You can't close a book and say that you know everything because when you allow yourself to believe that disassociation is what you're supposed to do with emotions, it's literally like someone gave you a book. They gave you a giant tome, a really complicated book, and you're like, "Nah, you just gotta get that. You gotta put that away. Don't worry about that. No, you got the first thing you gotta do is get rid of those. That's ridiculous." But when you look at the emotions and be like, these seem important. I got a lot of them and they seem really complicated. I feel like I should be invested in understanding them, right? We work to start to understand the language of our feelings is what I keep on hearing. We get very invested in understanding the language of our feelings because our feelings are trying to tell us things. And some of those things are silly. Some of those things are silly and they're unnecessary, and some of them are very important. But the only way you'll ever know which is which is if you put the intention into understanding them further, right? It's the investiture into them and not the obsession with them. The investiture into them, but not the obsession with them. So we see that that's a lot of the energy facilitating and building upon that. But even in the context of doing so, it's not easy. And this is what I keep on seeing. And even in the modality by which the energy identifies or works through the fact that it's not perfect, they understand the fact that it's not supposed to be, right? And that modality is where I see a lot of energy of solitude. And this is why, and this is what's so painful for some of this energy I see coming into separation, because somebody's coming to them being like, I have an announcement. I'm ready to talk about my feelings. And someone being like, my love, my dear, like the feelings were never the issue. The feelings were never the issue. It's your understanding of them that seems to be the issue, right? Because the modality by which we articulate the fact that we're ready to face them means the fact that we haven't been ready. Like, it's not that it's like, that's why when another person says, I'm ready to face my, like when someone says, I'm ready to admit my feelings, they're basically coming towards you being like, I'm ready to face the complicated emotions that I feel about you. And you're like, congratulations. But that's not a you thing. That's a them thing. It's like the modality of another person saying, "I'm ready to face the fact that you make me feel complicated," being like, I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy for you. You have fun with that, right? Because it's the understanding, like, it's a good step. It's a good step in the right direction, but it's but also it's not enough to articulate that one is ready to face them, but being energetically brave enough to navigate as they come up is what I keep on seeing. Right? It's as they come on, it's like, yes, I know you want to face them, but even in the and this is the thing that's happening from them, that energy. You're saying you're ready to face them, but you let them go away, right? There's literally a situation by which I see somebody moved away from a relationship because they had all these complicated feelings that came up, and they moved away from the relationship instead of facing them. And then what happened? The feelings regulated, and now they're coming back to someone going, I'm ready to face the feelings. And the energy's going, no, you're not. The feelings have died down, right? The feelings have energetically died down. You're articulating you're ready to face them because they're not there. Continuing to get clarification between the Queen of Cups and the Seven of Swords in its upright, one card to clarify, Hierophant in its reversal, right? It's easy to articulate that you're ready to face something that is not there. It is easy to articulate that you're energetically ready to face something that is not there. But this is why we see that relationships are emotional refinement centers, right? When we're feeling a lot of the energy, we don't move further away from it. We move deeper into it because the modality by which you understand that the energy, that the relationship that you have will make you feel things that you would have never felt before, and the modality by which you work through, right? The modality or the capacity by which you work through that ability of being able to, I keep on hearing, this is what we talk about with expansion. This is why we identify that when we're talking about healing, we talk about expansion. It's not the space by which you control how you feel. You find the ability to hold everything that you do. And this is why I see that a lot of these temperance energies are saying to each other, I know you're feeling frustrated. Keep on going through. Something, some energy, I keep on hearing this energy going, I know you feel like you're in a rut. Continue to be energetically consistent, because the modality by which you navigate, and this is why we talk about a fact that a healthy manifestation, the first thing you do is let go, surrender your expectation in relationality on as to what's on the other side of it, because guess what, you are arriving to the person that you need to become in order to navigate that manifestation. The manifestation finds you too. It is a direction that leads you closer towards it. It's not one that one is just moving in the direction of it. It's the ability to arrive to the understanding of how to energetically achieve it. And this is why we talk about the necessary importance of letting go of your expectation in relationality to how a manifestation is going to occur, because you don't know anything yet. You learn as you go, and the more that you move towards it, the more you learn, the more you grow. So the ability of understanding that the joy of a manifestation isn't just what's on the other side of it, but the joy that you build in every day, moving closer towards it. It should not feel like an energetic endurance test, right? It should not feel like one is pressed as one does so. It should feel like every step towards it is a part of the joy that you expect to find when you arrive to it. Because if you don't find that joy on the journey, I guarantee you when you get to the destination, the joy is not going to be found there. You bring the joy with you to your manifestations. You don't find joy at the manifestation point. You bring the joy with you, or else you're never going to find it. Final card for today's spread, between the Knight of Wands in its reversal in combination with the Hierophant in its reversal, Four of Wands in its upright. And this is the conversation that we see that's working through the understanding of why it's so important to find our joy. If you don't find your joy, I hate to break it to you, there's no manifestation on the planet by which you'll find your joy. You will not find your joy in any manifestation. If you're articulating the fact that you, and this is why we talk about a healthy manifestation is always an ode to joy, because the modality by which you move joyfully towards it is often the case or the space by which you arrive to it, right? So the modality by which we work through this, and this is why I like the fact that we've got the Four of Wands in its reversal here. The modality by which we understand that it's not just, you can't look at something and be like, well, what do you want? Like, and this is the conversation we have with the universe. Universe goes, well, what do you want? And you go, I want that. And you go, well, why do you want it? And I'm like, because I'll be happy. And be like, okay, cool. Did you want the stuff that you have now? And you go, yeah. And they're like, how did you feel before you had that stuff? Oh, well, I felt miserable. Okay, cool. And what did you think when you arrived to where you were here? I thought I'd be happy. Okay, are you happy? I'm not happy. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So let me get this straight. You keep on trying to go places expecting to be happy there, but everywhere you go, you're not happy. Huh. Okay. There's only one solution to that, right? You have to bring joy with you every step of the way. It's not enough to have a manifestation. You have to articulate joyfully, joyfully. I'd like to move toward that manifestation, and I'd like to have joy every step of the way. I would like every moment of that manifestation to be one where I find the joy. Because the understanding of and here's the important thing, right? A healthy manifestation isn't about finding things. It's about understanding why it's so important to the self. And in the modality by which we move towards that understanding of why it's so important, we find ourselves there. So continue to do that work, because that's what I keep on seeing that's happening right now. And for a lot of those magician relationships, that's what's hard, right? It's the modality of potentially seeing a situation by which they feel the desire or the wish to bring joy to something, but understanding that the joy, we cannot give joy to each other. Joy is something that we find within. Bottom of the deck on this reading, King of Swords. in its reversal. King of Swords in its reversal, right? As long as our joy does not cost anyone anything. But when someone is deep in their ego, there's a false belief that it does. That's the beautiful thing about joy. It's generous, right? Joy is generous. And the way you heal, the only way that joy becomes generous is if you let go of comparison. If you work towards your exquisite. If you're in the if you spend your whole life comparing yourself to others, you will not find joy at any single point. When we come into the space of honoring ourselves and recognizing that everyone's journey is unique, we build into our exquisite, we find joy in everything. And it's the hardest thing to do, right? Because often the modality by which others take things out on each other, that is the modality by which, and that's often the space by which our trauma, right? This is why. And I want to point out, pay attention when you listen to that voice inside you that says you, because that's not you. That's what the trauma says. What does the trauma say? You don't deserve that. You're not good enough. Who gives you the right? What makes you think, right? The ability of understanding that that is the work that we do to heal that, that is how we effectively arrive to the understanding that we don't need to be perfect to find joy. We have to understand that joy is our birthright. Thank you so much for that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book a reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into private readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the World card. Our next class will be held on Thursday, January 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the World card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I do my best to give you an update on everything we've studied in each class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my stack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of readings, but you will also receive access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, and you'll receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. You can also learn more about a very special retreat that I'll be hosting this August. I would like to invite you to join me as we travel to Tuscany, Rome, and Florence, where we will be studying the tarot in the locationality by which the tarot was first discovered. Also, everyone who participates in that retreat will also be receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me as well. And you can learn more about that over on my stack. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or biweekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer for those who are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings. Again, weekly or biweekly as your schedule permits so that you can stay more consistent on your journey. And also for my students, I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or biweekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow. That